By 2050, what must the Alberta Peace Country offer its citizens, stakeholders, industries, and global markets to be socially responsible and economically prosperous? The future is not predictable or predetermined, and future outcomes can be influenced by our choices today. By combining forecasting with insight, we can begin to envision and plan for the future we want, using a process called strategic foresight. At the 2011 Growing the North Conference, participants were presented with the possibility that northern Alberta will experience a great deal of change by 2050 and is well positioned to take advantage of emerging global trends. Grande Prairie Regional College's Center for Research and Innovation aims to help the Peace Country seize these opportunities and meet its mandate to build a culture of innovation by furthering our understanding of these global trends. Understanding the forces and factors that are likely to shape the social and economic future of the Peace Country enable today's decision-makers to make good decisions, helping them to build our future prosperity and strengthen regional economic development in the coming decades. To understand the trends that may affect the Peace region over the next 40 years, the CRI used scenario creation, a strategic foresight tool designed to explore the conditions and actions needed to move toward our desired future. A scenario creation workshop was held in late 2011 and involved approximately 40 participants from around the region. Participants identified the forces and factors that will shape and influence the Peace Country over the next 4 decades. They were identified as available knowledge and expertise, geoeconomics, water availability, government policies, geopolitics, type of energy demanded in the future, global trade patterns, migration and immigration trends, climate change and energy supply, global competition, state of the environment, changes to food production systems, developments in the far north, governance structures, transportation technologies, consumer expectations, health of the population, personal security and fear, and leisure time. From this list, participants concluded geoeconomics and available knowledge and expertise, restated as regional availability of appropriate knowledge and skills, have the most uncertainty and potential impact on the region, and were therefore selected to frame 4 different plausible future scenarios. Using this frame, participants imagined how the other 18 forces and factors might develop in the different future scenarios, where the key forces exert either positive or negative influence on the Peace Country. The future will be shaped by today's thinking and decisions. Integrating strategic foresight techniques into the region's planning processes is desirable. Explore the future. Are we headed to boom and gloom? Smart people, dynamic times? Coping with underachievement? Or an era of enlightenment? Scenario 1. Era of enlightenment. The world has learned to work together. An improved international system of law and governance puts the needs of the Earth and the human population as a whole before national interests. This has enabled the world to address the issues arising from climate change, as well as global food and water shortages. People in the Peace Country and around the world are using their buying power to drive change and demand quality over quantity in both products and services. More mindful choices are being made, and there is an enthusiasm to invest in human and environmental well-being. 2020. Significant and frightening changes to the global climate, including increased tornadoes, summer snowfalls, and floods in the Peace Country, have solidified people's acceptance of climate change and their willingness to adjust their lifestyles, leading to a drastic reduction of new greenhouse gas emissions. Trade sanctions require countries and industry to curb their CO2 emissions and adopt environmentally and socially sustainable production practices. In Alberta, industry and government have finally realized that the economy would be stronger if it was significantly diversified beyond the oil and gas sector, and both are currently investing in a wide range of alternative energy industries, including wind and solar farms. 2025. The majority of the energy needs in the Peace Country are supplied locally by neighborhood energy utilities, using geothermal, biomass, and waste energy recovery systems. With high-efficiency buildings and small-scale wind and solar energy sources, many homes and businesses are net energy generators, adding additional supply to the electrical grid. 50% of the car fleet is powered by clean electricity. This will increase to 95% by 2050. The demand for Alberta oil is dropping and will fall by 50% between 2025 and 2050 due to curbed demand from the United States. This shift is easily accommodated because of the earlier investments in the alternative energy sector. GPRC is now the Grande Prairie Regional University and is coordinating with other local educational institutions to offer a wide variety of business and sustainability-related programs to the Peace Country. 2030. Volatile weather patterns are even more common. The local agriculture industry requires greater flexibility, as weather conditions vary year by year from extremely dry to very wet. The world's attention has shifted to maintaining food security in the face of increasing global drought. A new area of speciality, containerized agriculture, is emerging as a response to ensure that all people have access to healthy foods. Peace Country farmers are growing a greater variety of food to meet both local and export needs. The old Enbridge pipeline, once filled with crude oil, now carries desalinated water from the ocean to Alberta and beyond. Demand is steady, and there are plans to begin building a second desalination plant in Kitimat, BC. 2035. Canada accelerates its investment in robotics and becomes a highly productive economy. Custom production systems that make highly personalized quality products, which are not quickly thrown away, are commonplace. 2040. The level of public participation in the governance process in Alberta is higher, both in quality and quantity. The public is becoming informed, accessing information and voicing thoughtful political viewpoints via electronic voting tools, leading to better public policies and services. The finance system is reorganized to recognize real value. A way to establish and measure the value of knowledge is also created. The economic situation is stable, with strong local economies that are supplemented by international trade when the local economy cannot meet demand. This encourages investor confidence, which creates a decade of responsible growth between 2040 and 2050. 2050. In the Peace Country, people travel less because they live closer to work and school, and our communities offer enough to do within the immediate area. The personal connections between and within our communities are strong. Communication technologies ensure that we continue to be connected to the rest of the world. Era of Enlightenment. In this scenario, the past 40 years have seen the world successfully work together to meet economic and environmental challenges. In the Peace Country, our creative, motivated, skilled, and innovative people have taken full advantage of these many opportunities, resulting in a vibrant, prosperous region where residents have a good life while treading lightly on the earth. Scenario 2. Coping with underachievement. The global geoeconomic situation is competitive, creating few winners and many losers. Globally and locally, riots, unrest, and social disorder are common. Peace Country residents suffer from irrelevant or inappropriate knowledge and skills, making it difficult to be successful. The people who can are leaving the Peace Country to find work elsewhere. 2015. The oil and gas sector is booming, and the need for workers is high. Many young people decide to take advantage of these opportunities to earn a living before they finish or immediately following high school. This limits the number of workers in the Peace Country with technical skills or an advanced education. Local educational institutions offer many programs in the trades key to the oil and gas sector, but are struggling to offer programs that allow workers to learn while also meeting the demands of their work. 2020. Globally, investments in alternative energy are dropping the price of oil. As demand for oil drops, the calls to ban dirty oil get louder, and elected officials in Canada become increasingly defensive. Markets begin to close to Canadian oil goods and services because of the perception that Canada is a polluter. In the Peace Country, many oil and gas jobs disappear. Enrollment in local educational institutions is dropping because the oil and gas-related course offerings no longer address the local economic opportunities available. As a result, local educational institutions reduce their course offerings. 2025. Energy is twice as expensive as a decade before, and many Peace Country residents cannot afford to travel as far or as often as they used to. Living in big houses, which were popular only 15 years before, is too expensive for many people. Volatile weather patterns are more common, and the Peace Country faces more tornadoes and floods. Lower crop yields occur often, as the local agriculture industry is not successfully adapting to an increased variation in local weather. Food costs have risen to over 30% of an average income, and food shortage riots are commonplace. High-quality fresh food is beyond the reach of most. Baby boomers have stayed in the workplace much longer than anticipated, which has prevented their children from getting high-quality jobs. Many young adults in the Peace Country have lost motivation and hope, and have settled into long-term underemployment or unemployment. 2030. Alberta is now officially a have-not province. Multinational companies are the main source of investment in the province, and command an increasingly influential role over government. To raise the public capital needed to maintain minimal public services, many of the province's natural resources are being sold to the large multinationals. Company loyalty to the communities in which they operate is low. They externalize the costs of business to the community as much as possible, and cause many local businesses to go under. There is a persistent belief in the Peace Country that our natural resources will ensure a vibrant future. However, there is runaway environmental degradation in the Peace Country because of Alberta's failure to establish new environmental targets and continue to maintain even outdated minimum environmental standards. 2040. Around the world, there is a seemingly insurmountable gap between the haves and the have-nots. To protect jobs, borders close to immigration and trade. However, because few Albertans possess the skills required to participate in the increasingly high-tech resource extraction economy, skilled labor is imported from outside the region. These people do not choose to settle in the Peace Country. 2050. In the Peace Country, people cannot afford to travel, making it difficult to access the jobs, goods, and services they need to live a good life. Big houses are sitting empty because it is too expensive to heat and maintain them. Households are comprised of 3 generations of one family, out of necessity. The personal connections within our communities are strong, but competition for resources creates many conflicts. The majority of remaining Peace Country residents stay in the region because they have neither the money or the skills to leave. For some, there is a resurgence of the rural pioneer spirit. For others, there is only a tragic spiral into poverty and hopelessness. Coping with underachievement. In this scenario, the Peace Country has struggled to find the skilled people needed to meet the many economic and environmental challenges of the last half-century. As a result, the local population has decreased, and the region has become increasingly isolated from the rest of the world. Scenario 3. Smart people, dynamic times. The Peace Country has been proactive and innovative in finding and capitalizing on opportunities, and has invested in both local people and businesses. Peace Country residents have acquired the skills and knowledge they need to achieve in these challenging geo-economic times. This has brought out the best in people. 2015. The province partners with the major oil and gas companies and announces a new investment strategy for exploration and production of petroleum resources that is based on sustainability targets to maintain profit margins, ensure long-term availability of resources, stabilize provincial growth, and minimize economic risk. 2020. The Peace Country has finally fully embraced the digital world. Universal access to high-capacity digital technologies allows Peace Country residents to work in professional knowledge sector jobs from their home or local office. Many Peace Country residents start online businesses, selling directly to international customers. While the Peace Country remains geographically distant from major cities, new high-definition technologies bring the world closer through virtual concerts and theater productions as well as sporting events, giving residents many opportunities to connect with each other and the rest of the world. The need for lifelong learning is fully accepted and supported. Grande Prairie Regional College officially becomes Grande Prairie Regional University, increasing program offerings and applied research capacity to appeal to a wide range of students. International students from strategic trading countries such as China, India, and Brazil are encouraged to attend, increasing the links between the Peace Country and these economic giants. GPRU's International School of Business is developing the skills needed by local Peace Country businesses to reach global markets. Many programs incorporate practical work-related experiences that are valued by regional businesses. The official retirement age is raised to 70 to allow more time for older workers to pass their knowledge and skills onto younger generations. 2025. Alberta students have the opportunity to pursue programs of their choice, with both academic and technical options, as early as 16. The high school curriculum includes core classes in English, math, and creativity and innovation, but otherwise is flexible, and based on each student's interests, strengths, and needs. 2030. The Peace Country is now considered a national center of excellence for bioagricultural research. Good farming practices have given the Peace Country food a world-renowned reputation for quality and taste. New genetic strains of fruits and vegetables, and greenhouse technologies and heat sources have increased market gardening in the Peace Country. Natural resources are exploited carefully, using best practices, many of which were developed locally, to minimize impacts on the ecosystem and preserve a healthy, natural environment for Peace Country residents. The Peace Country has evolved into an important node in the international trade network, connecting the goods and services of northern Canada to the world and vice versa. Peace Country residents now enjoy 24-hour access to the best healthcare professionals in the world, through Canada's participation in the Global Telehealth Coalition. 2040. Adventure tourism has become a recognized segment of the regional economy. There are a large number of tourists willing to pay for a unique northern experience in a pristine outdoor environment. Peace Country businesses are successfully trading with customers all around the world. 2050. In the Peace Country, the personal connections between and within our communities are strong. People travel outside the region less because there are fewer opportunities abroad. Communication technologies ensure that we continue to be connected to the rest of the world. Smart people, dynamic times. In this scenario, the world is facing some challenging circumstances, but the Peace Country is turning those challenges into opportunities. With a population of skilled, motivated, and innovative people, the Peace Country has invested in itself and developed a diverse local economy with strong connections to the rest of the world and vibrant communities that attract more people to the region. Scenario 4. Boom and gloom. There are many opportunities in the Peace Country. Employers need workers, and 2 legs and a heartbeat is often enough to get a job. However, limited emphasis on further education has limited the degree to which workers successfully take advantage of the opportunities available. Complacency, reliance on the status quo, and the failure to learn new skills has eroded the productivity and competitiveness for some local industries. As a result, profit margins and wages are falling, and many Peace Country companies and residents are getting left behind. 2020. The world is emerging from the Depression. World markets begin to reopen, and the demand for natural resources surges. The Peace Country is booming, and the need for workers is high. Many young people decide to take advantage of these opportunities to earn a living, before they finish or immediately following high school. Businesses operate using well-established standard practices, and enjoy busy and profitable years. Local educational institutions offer many programs in the trades key to the oil and gas sector, but are struggling to offer programs that allow workers to learn while meeting the demands of their work at the same time. 2030. The oil-fueled boom turns to bust due to the combination of the popularity of the electric car, the mainstreaming of various commercially viable alternative energy sources, and global competition that drops the price for natural gas and oil to prices not seen since 1992. This drives down the salary of Peace Country workers. However, a bust in global food supplies is a boom for the Peace Country. Global climate change has driven up the price of agricultural commodities, as crop failures in southern latitudes cause grain shortages, creating increased demand for Peace Country crops. Unfortunately, there are also local climate change impacts, which farmers are struggling to adapt to. As a result, Peace Country farmers are not realizing the maximum value for their efforts. Capital is readily available, but the knowledge and skills required to re-engineer local agricultural business models and maintain high yields and reach the global marketplace must be recruited from outside the region. 2040. The lack of appropriately skilled people is a significant impediment to realizing emerging opportunities for the Peace Country. The region needs more skilled workers who can keep up with changing job requirements. The specialized skills that are in demand are shifting rapidly, changing the job market on a regular basis, and requiring educational opportunities to be very nimble and adaptive. Participation in the political process is at an all-time low in the Peace Country. Residents are working long hours and trying to retrain to acquire the skills needed for a higher quality job. The social face of the Peace Country is evolving, as the latest wave of new immigrants with the skills and knowledge required to fill key positions in industry and government have settled into the region. This creates some tension with the existing population, as the new immigrants largely make up the have portion of the population, while existing residents increasingly have a hard time making ends meet. 2050. In the Peace Country, long-term residents cannot afford to travel, making it difficult to access the jobs and education they need to improve their quality of life. The personal connections between these residents are strong, but competition for high-quality jobs creates many conflicts. There is little sense of community between the long-term and newer residents of the Peace Country. Boom and gloom. In this scenario, the Peace Country would be doing really well if we could just find the right people to attract, hire, and retain, and the right programs to train our current population. As is, almost all opportunities for value-added and knowledge-based ventures leave the region, along with young people and innovative people.